All right, we've got some breaking news, the latest now from Orlando in just a minute. But first, we're going to get you caught up on a story in the Port City. This is an officer-involved shooting.
Lanise, a very different scene than it was about an hour ago. All that's left is the markings in the road. Now, investigators say a Mobile police officer shot a man multiple times in the driveway right here behind me during a traffic stop. Now, Fox 10 News was the first on the scene.
The driver did not have a driver's license, was asked to step out of the car. At that point, Officer Saul claims to have seen a weapon on the suspect that he reached for. Shots were fired at that point. The suspect has been hit multiple times, has been transported to the USA Medical Center by Mobile Fire Rescue. The officer was uninjured. We have recovered a pistol as well as a magazine from the ground out here. The magazine, we're not sure where it came from.
Witnesses we spoke with say they think the shooting was not justified and they want answers. Many were going right up to the crime scene tape asking police questions, and some people got pretty heated. One neighbor says he saw the whole thing.
What we thought was a routine traffic stop is we standing in the door looking at it. The young man gets out with his cell phone in his hand. As soon as he get out, he shoots him.
Stanton Road and Wagner Street, the scene of the deadly officer-involved shooting of 19-year-old Michael Moore after a traffic stop.
The driver did not have a driver's license, was asked to step out of the car. At that point, Officer Saul claims to have seen a weapon on the suspect that he reached for. Shots were fired at that point. The suspect has been hit multiple times.
Moore was pronounced dead at nearby USA Medical Center moments later. In the days that followed, the community demanded answers. According to Police Chief James Barber, the car Moore was driving was stolen, and he was carrying a stolen gun. Two passengers in the car told police the gun was loaded, and Moore put it in his waistband before getting out of the car. Barber says the officer asked Moore to keep his hands up, but instead Moore reached for the pistol, prompting the officer to fire 3 shots.
At that point, the driver does go down and then attempts a second time to gain access to the weapon, of which a 4th shot was fired.
3 days after the shooting, police identified Officer Harold Hurst.
He's a 4.5-year veteran of the Mobile Police Department and has been assigned to the 3rd Precinct for about 3 years. Just over 3 years, 3.5 years.
It was then we also learned several stolen items were also found inside the car, but perhaps the biggest revelation, Moore's gun wasn't recovered at the scene, instead by hospital staff in the ER, Barber admitting a mistake in protocol. While a body camera would have offered some answers to what exactly happened, Hurst wasn't wearing one because he was on his way into work where the cameras are charged after shift change, prompting city officials to demand a change in procedure.
Put your body cameras on so we all know what you're doing. We would know what the behavior of the suspect was, and we would know what the behavior of the police officer was.
In the 4 months since the shooting, calls for answers never stopped. Several independent investigations have been underway, including Mobile Police, the Justice Department, and the Mobile County DA's office. That investigation ended today.
It seems like a typical Tuesday afternoon. Then this.
I got a plane crash on North Hickory Street.
Within seconds, the plane burst into flames.
And there's a guy trying to get out.
Witnesses run into the billowing smoke to find him.
Oh, he fell out. Oh, God, help him. Oh.
The pilot miraculously makes it out alive.
Yeah, he's out.
And I told him to fall out of the airplane, don't jump. You know, it was unreal.
Aubrey Morris was the first one there and says he couldn't believe his eyes.
But what was bad, it was so close. You know, I'm sitting right in my office and it was shaking. And when I looked out and seen all the limbs, I thought a tornado came through.
The pilot took off from the Foley Airport around 2:30, but didn't make it far.
It was coming in at a level path, then all of a sudden it turned on its side. I thought it was fixing to do a stunt like a crop duster.
Neighbors say the plane's wing then hit 2 oak trees and crashed. Many thankful it came down where it did.
I want everyone to know, though, that I have never had a physical affair with Mrs. Mason. I can assure the people of Alabama that as their governor, I have never done anything illegal.
That was Governor Robert Bentley dismissing an alleged sexual affair with top advisor Rebecca Mason. It comes after Bentley fired former ALEA Secretary Spencer Collier, accusing him of misusing state funds.
Let me be clear, this is 100% untrue.
In a press conference earlier today, Collier claims he was fired because Bentley and Mason were upset he cooperated with state prosecutors in the Mike Hubbard corruption case.
My crime is this: I refused to lie to the Attorney General's office. And I signed an affidavit that was part of my job that I am required to do as a law enforcement officer.
Collier said he became aware of the alleged affair in August 2014 when he saw texts sexual in nature on the governor's cell phone from Mason and heard the explicit phone recording. When confronted, Collier says the governor said he would terminate the relationship immediately, but later had a change of heart.
Governor Bentley called me on my cell phone and stated that he could not go through with it and end the relationship with Mrs. Mason.
Collier went on to say Mason has a major influence on the governor and government decisions, calling her the de facto governor.
What I'm saying is there was no sexual activity.
Meanwhile, Governor Bentley insists he never used his office to hide any type of relationship, but says he's been aware of the recordings for 2 years and admits he made a mistake.
I have not heard the tape, so I don't know who is on the tape, but I'm just saying that I'm sure that I have. At that time, I said some inappropriate things, and I know that I did that, and so I'm just apologizing for that to her, and I'm apologizing to my family and to the state of Alabama.
We're just waiting for the gates to open so we can see the man.
It all started bright and early this morning as thousands of Trump supporters waited in line for hours.
We come prepared with lawn chairs.
As the gates opened, they all filled Ladd People Stadium, the same location of one of Trump's very first rallies last year, the rally many people credit for starting his momentum in the election, which makes it even more special to these Trump supporters that it's also where he's ending his thank you tour.
I feel like this is like the most special one after the whole victory tour since it's the last one.
I came out here last August when he was here and had the best time, and we were Trump all the way then, and we are now.
Mobile Mayor Sandy Stempson says it's a beneficial relationship for the port city.
They love Mobile. I gave several of them a key to the city. They all told me that key to the city will be on their wall in the White House.
And here near the top of the stands, Donald Trump will look even smaller than he would on a TV, but supporters here say it's well worth it to see the president-elect in person.
We drove from Lafayette, Louisiana. It took us 4 hours to get here.
And as Trump landed in Mobile, the anticipation at the stadium grew.
So Trump can make America great again.
It's the most exciting thing that's happened to us in our 48 years of marriage. And I got a whole bag full of stuff to prove it, man. Look at that. Don't that look great?
And it wasn't only Trump voters we found in the stands.
And I vote for Hillary because I believe that Hillary was the right one for the job. She had the experience. But now that I look over things, I think this man is going to do a great thing.
And finally, the man of the hour took the stage. He started it all here, and now he's ending it here. President-elect Donald Trump is back in the port city to say thank you.
There is no better place to celebrate than right here, okay?
He brought in Senator and now Attorney General nominee Jeff Sessions and touched on several topics like economic growth and illegal immigration.
People that come into the country illegally, people that come into the country and cause problems, they're taken care of better than our vets in many cases. So, yeah. Time to take care of our vets. Do not worry. We are going to build the wall, okay? Don't worry. Don't even think about it.
After speaking for more than an hour, the 9-city thank you tour officially came to an end.
We will make America great again. Thank you, Alabama.
Making these local Trump supporters very hopeful for the future.
This event was awesome. We are so excited to be able to come out and support him, and we are just ecstatic that he chose Mobile to finish his tour.
In Mobile, Devin Cafaro, Fox 10 News.
And And we continue to keep a track of the reports coming out of Century, Florida for you tonight.
A tornado touched down and damaged up to 30 homes in that area. Katie Weiss joins us live from Century right now. Now, Katie, we probably won't know the full extent of the damage until daylight, right?
That's right, Bob. There's a lot of damage out here in Century, Florida. Now, we've also been seeing a lot of damage and rubble, and one of the places very highly affected was the 6800 block of Jefferson Avenue. Let me go ahead and show you some video that we took just hours ago in that neighborhood. I saw a trailer that had been split in two, one part of it wrapped around a tree, the other on top of a house. I'm told an elderly woman and her daughter were trapped in that very rubble. And tonight I spoke with the two men that helped save those women. I just handed them my microphone, and this is the remarkable story they had to tell. Take a listen.
This was debris up about this high. Me and this guy threw all of this out over this way. The grandmother was trapped under this hole here.
All right, Katie, and we've received video today showing the twister in Century. Take a look. Dramatic video sent to us by Dustin Carnley. It was shot at the Bondurant Ace Lumber and Hardware store near Century at around 4:30. Now, again, a lot of streets are closed right now. As you just heard Katie talking about, there are a lot of downed power lines out there. And we're also learning that several schools in Escambia County, Florida are closed for tomorrow. They include Bryant Elementary, Burnville Elementary, Ernest Ward Middle, and Northview Middle or High Schools. In a news release, the superintendent says these closings are to make sure any students and staff who are affected by today's storms can determine the impact of the system and what it has had on their families and property.
In South Baldwin County tonight, things are calm after big storms roaring through South Baldwin County earlier. And taking an overview, a look at radar right now, we are really seeing some big improvements here across the area. The only thing left over would be a few light rain showers in Okaloosa County, and most of that is heading over into Walton County. Now, this is the way things looked on radar at 3:40 this afternoon when we began to see a very distinct area of rotation between McDavid and Bluff Springs. That's where we had our first report of a possible tornado near Bluff Springs between there and Century, and that was at 3:33 p.m.